Welcome to all of your parents and grandparents and family members, alumni, friends, to Putney School's 82nd graduation. And welcome to the class of 2017. Seniors, and I can still call you that for a few more minutes, please take a minute to thank the faculty and staff that have been with you today. I hope that you'll also take the time to thank your parents and grandparents and whoever else it is that has made it possible for you to be here at Putney. You have been wonderfully supportive of your students and of the school and this whole community, and you've trusted us with your children, which is an enormous level of trust. You've been helpful to us in so many ways. Seniors, congratulations. You guys have come a long way. 35 of you have been here all 4 years. Quite a few faculty and staff started with you that first fall. Whether you realized it or not, they were also freshmen. John and Kate and Mary Doherty and Jessa and Allison Hubbard and Kaylin and Hillary, Rodrigo, Hugh, Jessica Taylor, and Katie Wolf all started the same time. The same year you did. Yeah. As a group and as individuals, you have had a huge impact on this place. You have not made this journey look easy all the time, and many of you have struggled in one way or another. You supported each other and given each other space to grow up and to find your own ways, welcoming new students each year with open arms. You're a class of rugged individualists, artists, gearheads, scientists, environmentalists, farmers, musicians, philosophers, activists. Many of you are several of those things. You have not forced each other into any particular mold, and in fact, I doubt that would have been possible. And although you're all wildly different people, you admire each other for your differences, and you have made close friendships here that will last you a lifetime. You have worked hard. You've done 856 projects between you. You've played on a couple of dozen teams, been in a dozen plays, and performed in countless concerts. You've taken something like 1,784 courses here. And by my estimate, and it took me quite a long time to do this, so I think it's close, you've done somewhere near 29,788 hours of physical work on this campus. In the barn and in the gardens and in the woods and the KDU and the dorms and the classrooms. Almost all of you will be able to return to campus with your children and point to something and say, I did that. In the process between the classes and projects and sports and arts and activities and jobs, you have learned a powerful work ethic, an ability to collaborate, and you've gained an enormous amount of general competence and capacity to be useful. The exhibitions and projects at the end of the year showed that you did all of this with your curiosity intact. I often judge the impact of an education on seeing what people do with their free time. And you do interesting things. Good, interesting most of the time. When you were freshmen, some of your parents came and complained that you were sitting inside and playing video games all the time. And I said, well, just wait, let's see what happens. Do you remember the settlement that some of you built up on Middle Ledges that year? Yeah. When you finally discovered that you had freedom and you could go outside and do things. And ever since then, you have worked hard on the things that you cared about when you found the time to do so. A couple of things stand out to me as I look at your class. One of them I mentioned to you the other night, which is humility. You're smart and accomplished, but you are seldom arrogant. You look at the world with genuine curiosity, and you're willing to be in awe of each other and those who are greats in your field. Because the work that you've done is real, you understand how much there is still to learn, and you seem to be undaunted by that. In a world plagued by inappropriate certainty, that's a wonderful thing to see. Another thing that stands out to me is how far ahead you are of earlier Putney classes in cultural fluency. 11 of you came here from other countries, and 21 of you have spent terms studying abroad. Your understanding of complexity and your place in the world shows in how you conduct yourselves every day, even when you're not thinking much about it. I'm proud to be sending you out into the world, and the world needs people like you. Your humility, your understanding of complexity and ambiguity, your acceptance of difference, and a quiet and sometimes not quiet idealism all make you enormously valuable. My last piece of unsolicited advice to you is to listen to your own inner compass. When you get to college, you will be surrounded by people who are very sure of everything they think. And the surer they are, the less they will want you to think for yourselves. If you're taking a gap year, you may find a more nuanced world, but you can't count on that. And my last request of you, come back and visit often. We will miss you. Let me introduce you to Josh Laughlin, who was the chair of our Board of Trustees. Josh.
Thank you, Emily, and hello, everyone. Welcome. Parents, grandparents, families, and friends, faculty, staff, students, and perhaps most importantly, the class of 2017. My name is Josh Laughlin, as Emily said, and I'm a graduate of the class of '82. I have served on the Board of Trustees for 6 years and now have the privilege of serving as its chair. And in that capacity, I'm here to help Emily hand out diplomas. Emily assures me that all of you have satisfied the requirements to receive a diploma today. So if any of you have been sweating it out over the last several days, you can take a deep breath. You made it. Congratulations. This day is a milestone for all of you as you head out to celebrate and experience whichever piece of the world you wish to explore. It's also a milestone here at Putney as you are the 10th class to graduate under the extraordinary direction of Emily Jones. Over her first 10 years, Emily has shepherded Putney to a new realm in its remarkable history. She has gained national and international recognition in her mission to reimagine progressive education in ways that respect the vision of Carmelita Hinton, Putney's founder, and anticipates the needs of students entering an increasingly complex global environment. Emily has assembled an exceptional administrative team to lead an exceptional faculty and staff, to educate what I have to believe are likely to be some of Putney's most exceptional graduates. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I offer our heartfelt thanks to Emily for her first 10 years and remind her that we still have many years to come. Thank you, Emily. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for working so hard together to bring to us this joyous day of graduation for this class of 2017. Thank you.
We have two speakers who were chosen by the senior class to represent them, Carrie Brautigam and Genevieve Greer. Carrie?
First, I would just like to say I'm very honored to be up here speaking for all of you. It means more to me than I can express. I've been thinking for a long time about what to say to all of you, and honestly, I have no idea if the words I've chosen are them. I'm not just speaking for myself, I'm speaking for everyone sitting in front of me. For those who I've grown alongside for the past 4 years, those of you who have carved adventures, stories, and memories into me. The past 4 years alongside all of you, and not just those of you receiving diplomas today, but everyone who has guided us to this moment, have been some of the most vibrant, enriching, and powerful years of my life. Putney has taught us many things. To tolerate the taste of KDU coffee, believe it or not. How to intelligently break some rules while still maintaining trust. To allow relationships to come and go, and that not everyone may be permanent, but we will find our people. To listen when others need to speak, but to assert our voices loud and with conviction when it's our turn. These are just a few lessons we leave with today, prepared to part ways with Putney. Whether or not we have been on this hill for the past 4 years, or 3, or 2, or even just 1, we all leave today carrying with us the memories and images that the thought of Putney holds for us. The truth is, many of these images and moments we associate with Putney are not unique to us. They were experienced long before, and they will return next fall, even with our absence. Every September, students will run barefoot along the truck road, leaping into the arms of their friends after a summer of separation that felt like a lifetime. New faces will be welcomed alongside the old, and a new senior class will rise, feeling a little smarter, a little wiser, and perhaps a little more rebellious. Intimidation Hill will continue to be blanketed in bodies, soaking up the sun, until the first frost signifies it's time to move indoors. Each winter, the library wood stove will be a crowded haven, and cheers and cries of relief will be heard across campus when drop holidays are announced. Spring after spring, the smell of apple blossoms and lilacs will fill the air, frisbees will be thrown, and boisterous games of foursquare will be played outside the field house. Evenings will become warmer, bonfires will burn longer, and laughter will grow merrier, budding alongside the greenery, an emerging freshness and joy that only springtime on the hill can bring. Although these moments will return year after year, long after we have left, our stories will linger as well. We are leaving hidden in these rolling hills 4 years of our secrets, stories, and adventures, tales and confessions told with laughter and glee at card-burning ace night that will rest among the ashes, never to be revealed. Stories of ice skating across the East Lawn, sparklers lit in Old Boys, fire extinguishers set off in Hughesby, and streaking across campus in thunderstorms. Make no mistake, Putney, that this particular class is leaving its mark. People will talk of the particularly controversial Reynolds bathroom poem, and no matter how hard the faculty may try, the rendition of The Keeper that we sing will never die. 4 years of learning, loving, stumbling, disagreeing, arguing, and progressing have readied us for this moment. Here we stand in front of you, prepared to leave the hill one last time to venture out into the world, a little older, a little wiser, and perhaps a little more rebellious. Whenever we return, be it harvest fests or springs to come, Putney will no longer be ours. We will lay in its grass and smell its flowers with bittersweet nostalgia, but we leave it behind today to be taken care of by those whose time here is not yet up, to those who still have adventures to be had among her hills. And while I know my time has come to venture away from the secluded bubble that Putney can be and go off into the world, there are things that I will miss greatly. I will miss the sweet, warm smell that wafts from the bread window when milk lunches maple scones. I will miss the candied almond kale salad that Lisa crafts expertly. I won't miss seafood jambalaya. I will miss piling my car full of friends for a spontaneous trip to the culvert on a hot spring day. I will miss roaming Courier's galleries looking at photos, paintings, sculptures, and ceramics, demonstrating the vast breadth of talent exhibited by my peers. I will miss the crisp smells of apple cider and frost in the fall, and I will miss the smell of freshly mown hay and dewdrops in the spring. I will miss brilliant sunrises and sunsets, watched from treetops, rooftops, and hilltops. I will miss lying still with my eyes closed in the grass, doing absolutely nothing alongside my friends. But it is you, my classmates and friends, that I will miss most of all. Good thing if we ever want an early reunion, we can just meet at Sarah Lawrence, since about half the class is going there. But in all seriousness, it's the small fleeting moments and interactions that will be remembered and cherished so clearly years down the line. And to everyone who has walked alongside me these past 4 years, everyone who allowed me to stumble and make mistakes, but also picked me up when I fell a little too hard. It is you who have taught me more than I can write. To the land, you've taught me that no fiery autumn hillside looks the same. You've taught me how magical the first snowfall is each year, but that winter in New England is still 2 months too long. You've taught me to appreciate the 65-degree days in spring because before I know it, it's 90 degrees and humid and shade doesn't help at all. You've taught me the sound of spring peepers might give New York City traffic a run for its money. You've taught me how to get my hands dirty on woods crew, in the gardens, or on long fall. You've nurtured a compassion for the land in me that I will bring everywhere I go, feeling at home in forests, gardens, and greenhouses, not minding when things get a little dirty. To my teachers, you've taught me a love for learning. You've taught me to work hard, dig deep, and question myself and my peers. You've taught me how to ask for help, but given me the strength to trust my own abilities as well. You've given each of us the space to explore our own ideas and desires in project weeks, explorations abroad, and exhibitions. You've cultivated in me a deep love for learning beyond the classroom that I will carry out into the world. To my classmates and friends, you have taught me that creativity and passion can lead to some incredibly beautiful things. I am so honored and proud to be graduating alongside all of you today. Your cumulative talents, whether they be dancing, lacrosse, photography, science, math, theater, horseback riding, skateboarding, jewelry, drawing, ceramics, or anything you excel at, never ceases to wow me. Though Putney has been where I've lived for the past 17 years, it is many of you who have really made it feel like home. Sorry. You have taught me what it means to accept change and growth. I have so much respect and gratitude for you for helping me figure out that even though I don't want to, I should probably sit down and write that paper. For helping me realize that winning a soccer championship one year and not even placing the next doesn't diminish a bond as a team. You have taught me how to seize moments and love deeply. You have taught me how to lead, but also how to follow, 2 equally vital lessons. I can't wait to see how each of you will change the world, and I know the world can't wait either. We leave today not because we are being told it's time to leave, but because we know we are ready. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Carrie. Before addressing you, my fellow compatriots of the Putney class of 2017, I want to give a few thanks. Thanks to those who have made sacrifices for us to be here. Thank you to those who have guided us both on and off the hill. Thank you for teachers, advisors, dorm parents, and all of those who gave up pieces of their lives to this random, weird, odd group of teenagers. So I'm going to start out with a story. A couple weeks ago, I was having one of those days where nothing really seemed right. The KDU coffee was overbrewed, people were yelling, and I was about ready to call it. By 10:30, the only thing I wanted to do was go back to bed and start the day over again. Then the dreaded sound came. Justin Bieber pounding his way through the thin walls of Hughesby. You can see all the freshmen in Hughesby squirming a little bit. Like any intimidating senior who was just not having it, I wrapped up in my comforter like a caterpillar and took to the Hughesby balcony. Michael, if you're listening, I'm hoping it's just a little bit too late for you to do anything about me not being inside during in dorms. Sitting under the stars, listening to the wind blow, I had my moment. Oh, this kind of sucks. I was cold and there was a mosquito buzzing in my ear. Then I looked at the sky. In that moment, I realized I had a limited amount of time to see that sky. I had the rest of the night to see it in the way that it was on that particular night, and I had a limited number of months to see it in Vermont as a Putney student. There was nothing I could do about it. You can't slow down time or capture moments, whatever Instagram tells you. Each of you have had an individualized high school experience. You hold different things, places, and people close to your heart. We may have the same experience of relief at a drop holiday, or the same disgust that there is still snow on the ground in late April. But overall, everyone's experience is tailored. On that balcony, I knew collectively we were going to have to let go of what our Putney is. Let's call that time about midday, June 4th, 2017. The world we are entering is one full of ignorance and injustice. People all over this country and all over this world are being put down by society, whether that be for their race, religion, gender, class, or sexual identity. We live in a world where things can often seem hopeless. Fighting injustice in this world can seem difficult, and I know it is tiring. We can run off of anger, but no, determination is a better fuel for the long term. If ignorance and injustice is an ugly weed, then indifference is the soil it grows in. Some are constantly told to pull up weeds when it shouldn't be their job. Don't wait to tell yourself to stand up for what is right or to educate yourself, whether you're working against your own ignorance or someone else's. I've heard some of you say that you want change or you want to live in a world that is more peaceful. You're going to need both your ears and your mouth to do that. Be willing to listen and be willing to change, but also strong enough to stand by what you truly believe. Remember that in order for there to be peace, there must first be justice. In the face of this closing, know that the second that diploma touches your hand, you are opening a new chapter of your life. You are taking things with you. Anywhere you go, you take yourself and your map. Your map is your beliefs, your perspective, and your morals, all of which have been touched by Putney in either a big way or a small way. That goes with you wherever you go, and that gives me some joy. In the face of the sadness that we are all about to part, I'm excited to say that like spring dandelion seeds, we scatter to the wind. The world is about to gain 63 new people who have something to give to it. Maybe even you, Chris. You have your passion, your creativity, and your strong ideas. You're the kind of people who design gardens, make zines about women in male-dominated industries. Shout out to Glassdoor. Always put on plays, both humorous and heartbreaking, throw insanely beautiful ceramics, organize buses to protests. I have seen moments from all of you showing your integrity, generosity, and your character. Those who help the fallen and those who start the process of standing, knowing that they are not defined by their mistakes. Whether you have more school ahead of you or some other adventure, you're going to touch so many lives, communities, and people. If you open your eyes and your mind, you will continue to gain knowledge and you will continue to grow from it. This is also my fun way of saying that you may be graduating, but you can never truly escape learning. You only have a matter of time with each of the skies in your life. And we will keep gaining different beautiful skies if we take the time to look up in different beautiful places as different versions of ourselves. So on this sunny June day, I wish you the best of luck. Say your farewells to what pieces of Putney you hold dear and take her lessons with you in mind. It's time to let her go. You have a lifetime ahead of you. Use it wisely. Now, please join me in singing Wild Mountain Time.
like to invite Eddie to come and introduce our speaker.
Check. Excuse my health. I blame it on the weather. Laura Henderson has made a career in international development and humanitarian work. She currently works for CARE as a senior director of U.S. government strategic engagement. Before that, she used to work with Women Thrive. Women Thrive, right? Yeah. My bad. And the World Wildlife Fund. She works with individuals at local levels and the highest level of international strategy. Laura has a degree from Bennington College and the College of Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins. She also is a member of the Putney School of Class 1978. Please join me in welcoming Laura Henderson.
Isn't this gorgeous weather that we're having? It's absolutely gorgeous. Emily Jones, students, faculty, staff, proud family members, friends, board, and alumni, I thank you. It's indeed a great honor and pleasure to have been invited to speak and spend time with all of you today. Congratulations to all 33 members of the class of 2017. Your many months of burning the midnight oil to finish projects, papers, plans, and performances have paid off at last. Let's please have a round of applause for both the class of 2017 and the parents, teachers, family, friends, and alumni who've made this all possible. Graduation ceremonies are a time to look back and to look ahead, a time to contemplate your future journey. Martin Luther King said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" My mother and father cared greatly about the world and service to others. I couldn't have asked for more incredible role models. My mother was a social worker and father a political science professor. They were both Quakers, and after World War II, they each went to Europe to work with the Quakers in Reconstruction. My father to Poland and my mother to Belgium. My parents were political activists throughout my childhood, and I went to political meetings, marches in Washington against the Vietnam War, and marches for jobs and freedom. Being an activist or community leader does involve challenges as well as rewards, as you well know. When a brick was thrown through the front window of my best friend Kathy's house, it was a shock to learn when I was only 4 years old that her family was targeted because they were Black, and her father was working for racial justice as the Illinois director of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP. My parents supported Kathy's family through these difficult times, and they taught me that working for what is right is worth the effort, despite the fact that the struggle may be long and full of challenges. As I grew a bit older, I came to understand that racism was one of the many things my parents were fighting during the 1960s. In the early 70s, when I was 11, my father received a federal research grant to study local government in Poland. I was really excited to have the opportunity to move from Dayton, Ohio, to live in Krakow, Poland with my family and attend Polish public school. Since I also learned about World War II, the horrible aftermath of which was still quite palpable 25 years after it had ended. I had the opportunity in Poland to live even more simply than I had back in the States. Our family, like most others in Poland in 1971, lived without a car, a phone, a refrigerator, or a television. Can you imagine? No iPhone? No landline, let alone a computer. I enjoyed the excellent public transportation provided by trolley cars that I took to my public school, and had fun helping my father construct a makeshift refrigerator out of a wooden box that we covered in thick plastic and attached outside of our kitchen window. Imagine opening the window to get your milk, but it worked. It worked really well. One thing I never quite got used to was that letters from my family and friends in the U.S. took a full 6 weeks to arrive in Poland. Moreover, they arrived inside a little plastic transparent bag with an inserted note from the Polish government that said, "Unfortunately, this letter was received in damaged condition and was placed in this bag to protect it." We knew that most of our mail was read by the authorities before we received it. My year in Poland was definitely a defining moment in my life, where I began to understand at the age of 12 some of the things that I was most passionate about: exploring new cultures, countries, languages, and people with backgrounds very different from my own. I knew that I wanted to make the world a better place, one that would never know another world war or another Auschwitz concentration camp. While I had no idea what career would embody these elements, I knew that I'd figure that out with time. I came here to Putney just a few years later, at the age of 16, when my brother Alan was teaching math and coaching cross country. I have so many fond memories of Putney, of outstanding teachers, the all-school sing, cross-country running, creating art, and making wonderful friends, one of whom, Johanna Gardner, is here today in the audience. My Putney experience was filled with firsts, such as the first time I tried cross-country skiing, the first time I ran long distances on long, snowy roads, the first time I tried batiking, jewelry making, and madrigals. Putney's philosophy of the 8 fundamental beliefs of Putney's founder, Carmelita Hinton, all rang true to me then as now, and I especially liked this one. Quote, "To combat prejudices caused by differences in economic, political, racial, religious backgrounds, to strive for a world outlook, putting oneself in others' places, no matter how far away or how remote," end quote. Putney's progressive approach to education is an incredible gift that will enrich all of us for the rest of our lives. When I was your age, and still had a passion for all things international that I'd acquired in Poland, I went on to Bennington College, right here in the beautiful mountains of Vermont, and then on to the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies for a master's in international relations. Like you, I received a strong and privileged education. Upon graduating with my master's degree, I sought what I could do to give back. First, I spent a memorable summer in Kenya studying the Kenyan press. One moment I'll always remember from that summer was getting almost run over by a herd of zebras charging down a mountain that I was standing on. My summer in Kenya was an introduction to the issues of press freedom and suppression, and to the fascinating and diverse continent of Africa. Soon thereafter, I returned to the other side of the continent as a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo, West Africa. I helped coffee and cocoa farmers set up village-based agriculture cooperatives to enable them to pool their resources and increase their standard of living. I lived in a village of about 100 in a beautiful mountainous region of Togo and enjoyed traveling through the dozen different cooperatives on my Yamaha motorcycle. In Togo, I was exposed firsthand to tremendous gender inequities, and therefore, I gave trainings in financial and management skills to the female cooperative members, as well as men, so that they too could gain leadership roles in the co-ops. I had great fun spending time with the children in my village in Togo and tutoring them in whatever subjects they needed help with. I learned so much from village life, teaching farmers coffee marketing techniques, learning the Akabu language, and living without electricity or running water, that the Peace Corps adage really rang true to me. Peace Corps is the toughest job you'll ever love. I knew when I returned home from Togo that I wanted a career in international development, and I was passionate about working to reduce the tremendous poverty, social injustice, and inequity in the world. I've been fortunate to have had the opportunity to have worked for the U.S. Agency for International Development that funds programs in the developing world, and to have had the experience of a lifetime as a Peace Corps volunteer in Togo. I've also worked with the United Nations and some of the world's most respected international development and conservation nonprofits, such as CARE, Child Fund International, and the World Wildlife Fund. I'm happy to say that I've had a rich and rewarding career already. I've worked with talented colleagues around the world to help address some of the greatest problems of our time. The issues have ranged from women's empowerment and girls' education to food security and meeting the needs of the largest number of refugees, 65 million that we currently have, the largest number of refugees since World War II, in a way that preserves their dignity and helps create opportunities for the future. Nelson Mandela's words ring so true. As long as poverty, injustice, and gross inequity persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. I believe that education is a powerful weapon against poverty, injustice, and inequity. One of the accomplishments I'm proudest of is the work that I did to bring women from Africa and Asia to the United Nations, where their voices tangibly shaped the UN's global goal in education. This education goal, along with 16 other Sustainable Development Goals, was signed on to by 193 governments around the world just a year and a half ago. The global education goal to be achieved by the year 2030 is, quote, to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, end quote. Why are words such as inclusive and quality important? Because without a specific commitment to inclusive education, so many girls and boys in the poorest and most marginalized groups, particularly in the developing world, such as child laborers, children with HIV/AIDS, or ethnic minorities, will not access any education. Any education. A commitment to quality education is critical because for too long the international community has emphasized just getting kids in school without also working to ensure that these kids are receiving a quality education. Over the past decade, gender parity in primary schools in the developing world has been achieved in much of the world, but in sub-Saharan Africa and several Middle Eastern and North African countries, progress is still needed to help girls access education. Girls in these regions often face very significant barriers to getting an education. Often, families living in extreme poverty cannot afford to send all of their children to school, and when forced to choose whose school fees to pay, they often choose their sons. Millions of the poorest, most vulnerable girls are not in school or expected to drop out early. This is despite the fact that research shows that girls' education boosts economic growth and improves the health and well-being of families and communities. In what is a virtuous cycle, girls who receive an education tend to marry at a later age, raise fewer children who are healthier, have much better chances of survival, and are more likely to go to school. Each of these factors is proven to reduce poverty. We have to move beyond just helping all children enter school to ensuring that they have trained teachers and a quality education so that real learning is happening. It's hard to believe that in the year 2017, 59 million primary school children throughout the developing world are not in school. The reasons range from war and conflict to child labor and abject poverty. What can you do about these global education challenges? There's plenty you can do. You can talk to your elected representatives about the benefits of U.S. aid for basic education in the developing world. Well-designed education programs make the world a more educated, healthy, wealthy, and safe place with greater understanding and fewer conflicts. As Malala Yousafzai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize at age 17, the youngest ever, said, "If you want to end the war, then instead of sending guns, send books. Instead of sending tanks, send pens. And instead of sending soldiers, send teachers." Working to empower women, men, and youth in the developing world has been my vocation, but I've also tried to find time to work on issues back in Maryland, where I live, as my avocation. In the months leading up to last fall's election, I joined many others from Maryland in going to Pennsylvania to help encourage people to vote. Immediately following the election, I launched a community organization called Progressive Action that has 75 volunteer members in Montgomery County, Maryland, and addresses critical issues such as climate change, immigration, civil rights, health care, and the upcoming elections in 2018. It hasn't always been easy to juggle a full-time job with a part-time community organizing and a wonderful family of 3 kids and a husband. However, I can say that working with Progressive Action has brought me energy, new friends, and greater optimism about the future. One thing I've learned from this challenging time in our nation's history is that whatever your political leanings, it makes sense to jump in, get involved, pour your energies into being part of positive change rather than getting stuck in a downward spiral of only complaining about the injustice of it all. This is our democracy, and we must own it if we want to preserve it. We must own our democracy. In 2014, we had the lowest youth turnout, voter turnout rate since World War II. That was 2014. Only 20% of Americans ages 18 to 35 cast their ballots in 2014. Over the last decade, young people have turned out to vote at lower rates than any other eligible group. In the last U.S. presidential election year of 2016, 50% of young people voted, but that compares poorly with 72% of people ages 70 and older voting. Your generation must now stand up and own our democracy. While I can understand being frustrated and disenchanted with politics, I can definitely understand that. I cannot understand not making your voice heard, not trying to help shape the future of your country, whatever country you may call home. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Youth participation in voting can indeed influence the election results, as today's young people make up 21% of the voting eligible population in the U.S. Not only do all of you need to fully participate in the civic life in your communities, colleges, and countries going forward, but I ask you, I urge you, to help persuade others to engage, to vote, to stay informed, and to make their voices heard. As Gandhi instructed, be the change you want to see in the world. Many Americans have led such comfortable lives that they've only voted every 4 years for the president of their choice. And in between, they do little to become politically engaged, thinking that others will make the laws and shape the policies, figuring that it's not really worth their while, either out of apathy, feelings of powerlessness, or a sense of somehow things will be okay. But now we've had a wake-up call. And we've found that our country needs us all to be actively engaged in civic life. If ever the words of John F. Kennedy ring true, it is now. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. You will find that you can do so much for others, whether it's working to get other people registered to vote, tutoring, or standing strong with signs in the Climate or Women's March or in a rally for the planet in Montpelier, as I heard that many of you recently did. Your voice is needed. Your voice is only as strong as you make it. Let your voice be heard. Fight for what you believe in. Shape the issues of your time. Hold our government officials accountable. Contribute to your community and country. Show up, stand up for your beliefs, and stand up for your rights. John F. Kennedy, whose 100th birthday was celebrated just a week ago, stressed that political action is the highest responsibility of a citizen. We are all living through many challenging political times, both domestically and internationally, and it's time to participate and become an active citizen. One day, many years from now, when your children and grandchildren ask you, "What did you do for your country in 2017 and beyond?" you will have great stories and hopefully great victories to share. You'll be able to tell them about joining with others to bring about positive social and political change, becoming active in your community and country, and in addition to voting, joining a campaign, an environmental action group, or working on gun control or civil rights or whatever issues you care deeply about. You'll be able to tell them about energizing others to get out and vote in all elections rather than sitting at home and armchair quarterbacking in between presidential elections. There are so many issues that need your energy, your passion, and your voice. In closing, I have just a few final words as you prepare to go out into the world from this beautiful Putney community. If you remember one thing from this address, I hope you'll remember the words of Martin Luther King. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Your family, your community, your country, and our interconnected world all need the gifts, ideas, and energy that you all have to offer. You have so much to offer. I've already seen in many ways how much you have to offer and heard from you. Throughout your life, you will find that there are many of your greatest joys will come from service to others. I can't promise you many things, but I can promise you that the more you give, the more you will receive, and the more you share of yourself and all you have to offer, the more your life will be enriched by others and the happier you will be. Congratulations again to each and every one of you in the Putney graduating class of 2017. I'm confident in your ability and your commitment to do incredible things for our country and our world. Now go forth from Putney today and enjoy a lifetime of opportunity, new challenges, activism, and adventure. Congratulations.
Now's the part where we give out the diplomas. Herzen, Gascock, Barber, Claire.
Thank you, Matt Dahl.
Mie Oka Lampriere. Ann Brautigam. Elizabeth Grace Green. Malcolm Carver Vadim. Tucker John Quinn. Rebecca Lou Golden. Leonard Marcus Gattaca. Caroline Rodenbush. Christina Braille Stalbert. Owen Knight Carrie. Eddie Claude Irabani. Nora Taylor Duncan. Ruby Angelina Rose Delicio Chadka. Hannah Olivia McKee. Haoja Chen. Eben Isaiah Collins. Hannah Lee Kuiper. Zoe Sage Morrissey. Romina Balchan-Laza. Maor Michael Lev. Sarah Grace Springfield. Erin Elizabeth Kifney. Christopher Jackson Carrie. Julian Henry Strasborough.
Yeah, Julian! Woohoo!
Catalin Jessica Burlow. Tristan John Ryder Park. Lillian Harding Ryder. Mayela Simone Patricia Chattel. Henry Robert Glazier. Keegan Charles Pellissier. Juliette Vivian Bloomfield Auguste. Henry Davenport Felix. Yuhui Zhang. Simone Robert Geary. Shelley Elena Anthopoulos. Anise Jacqueline Pelletier. Tomas Sebastian Foreman. Zihan Shu. Sarah Elizabeth Waldorf. Victoria Alexandrovna Frolova-Grossman. John Kim. Aaron Caroline Leather. Shutong Liu. Haley Patricia Abalafa Cartwright. Delilah Douglas Craven. Ha Tan Quinn. Maeve Cotter Benz. Trevor Stone Cullum. Van Poo Liu. Beatrice May Dandelions. Sienna Clara Santos Edmonds. Daniel Joseph Weissman. Sophia Cullinan Pachanik. Olaf Galileo Sapp. Leo Morrow Weinberg. Leah Janan Smith. Sophia Alexandra Zandine. Sequoia Rose Salison Burns. Olivia Marie Dorothy Rother. Lydia Elizabeth Edgerton Page. Genevieve Greer. Liliana Houston.
Go,